Wanda, and welcome to the Bitcoin Edge. So good to have you here.
Hi, Paula. Thanks for having me.
So, Wanda, I want to start out by going back to the beginning. Where were you born, and where are you living now?
I was born in Canada, and I live in Canada.
A true Canadian. Let's go to where your financial journey began, and what business did you start working in?
Well, I guess my financial journey started when I was in high school. I was a very good saver. Owned my first house as a teenager, then worked for other people for a while, decided that wasn't for me, and got into my own business with my partner at the time, which was a Service Master franchise. And at that time, we also went to a Bob Proctor seminar for 3 days, and that was a huge eye-opener about money management and money growth and all sorts of things we learned there. So we implemented that into our business and, did very well. Since I've been out of that, I'm more into investing.
Well, it's funny you mentioned Bob Proctor. That's how we met, and I only found Bob Proctor when I was around 47, and he really changed my life. This show is a little bit about, it's about money and it's about Bitcoin. But in order for me to start having more success, I had to get a good mindset. So it was very beneficial that you found out about Bob, who is Canadian too,
yes.
So early in life. And I'm sure, how did that shape you going forward?
Changed my perspective on money. I was only in my 20s at the time. I was probably 27, I guess, somewhere around there. I've always believed in energy flow anyway, but I didn't think about it with respect to money. So I didn't look at money as something that was hard to get. It was just something that you would get, based on principles of what you did in your, day-to-day life and how you managed that money once you got it. So it was eye-opening. Like, he set you a project to do at the end of this seminar, and you had to pick something that you wanted that you didn't think you could have. The whole goal was to obtain it, which we did. And that was eye-opening for both of us, actually, because we both had limited positive thoughts about money because we didn't grow up that way.
So tell me, what were some of the messages about money that you got growing up?
Money was bad. Rich people were, they had it, we didn't. You had to work really, really hard for your money, and you better save every penny that you get, that kind of thing. And my mom was a stay-at-home mom. My dad worked very hard to support all of us. So, yeah, I thought that money was a negative towards us. Like, I never really looked at money as a positive thing. I looked at it as a means of getting things, but I didn't look at it as positive, it was always a struggle in our house.
I heard money doesn't grow on trees.
I heard that too, and many times.
Money's the root of all evil. And, I've since challenged my mom on that. I often say the love of money is the root of all evil. When you use money as a tool, it can be a very positive tool. There's a lot of good you can do with money, right? In order, to achieve financial freedom, it's also really nice to be doing something that you love doing and also have a good attitude about it. Because as Tony Robbins says, success without fulfillment is kind of empty.
That's right. It's not really success.
Yeah. So after you finished that business, how did you move on after that?
I've invested in real estate. Sometimes that's been good for me. Other times it has not. But it's like anything, as you try something different, there's ups and downs. You learn as you go. I'm more invested in stock market now than I am in anything else. And that's been, I'm learning. I've been taking a course on it, and it's another thing, you cannot get emotionally involved in it. That's where people struggle the most, I think, because they think, oh, my hard-earned dollar, and oh my goodness, look at it today, it's worth less than it was yesterday, but 5 weeks from now it could be worth 10 times what it is today. So it's very volatile, and it's also, you have to just keep a level head and be aware of the companies that you're invested in and how strong are they and what are they doing. Is there a need for what they're doing out in the world? That changes too, as our economy changes, as climate changes, all these changes are going to change who the strong players are in the stock market. Some of them will always be there, but not all of them.
Yeah, like things like artificial intelligence, which is the latest
Absolutely.
and contender that we have to deal with.
Exactly. Whether we like it or not, it's what's happening, and it's going to be very prevalent in all of our lives.
Yeah, I like that you mentioned the stock market. Is the reason you invest in that partly because you are aiming to beat inflation and rather than keep your money in a bank to get a better return? Because we all know banks don't give a lot of interest.
No, they don't. Yeah, for sure, it's to get my money out of the bank. Is it to beat inflation? I don't really think about that. It doesn't cost me a lot to live, so I don't think about that specifically. I never really related to that in my life before. I guess I've never really had to do so. I don't know. But I certainly am very much against money in the bank. I keep as little in there as absolutely possible. And I've done that for a while. And to be honest with you, I haven't even banked with a bank per se, in, 35 years.
Wow, good for you. Once you learn more about Bitcoin, you're gonna like it more and more. But I just want to get back to inflation. Do you notice in Canada that the price of things are going up, or are they staying the same for you?
Oh no, they're going up. Yeah, for sure they're going up. But they always have gone up. So what's new about that? Nothing.
So you do notice inflation, but
yes.
Because you keep your expenses down and you live within your means, you can handle the small increase, or maybe not so small, but you can handle inflation.
Well, sure, I always have. I think part of the ability to do that is you have to change what you do, how you do it, how often do you do it, where do you do it. I'm more concerned about our food quality than I am inflation, because inflation's out of my control. I can't do anything about that. Governments are going to do whatever they want anyway.
You're right. It really doesn't make a lot of difference who's in power in government. The system is set up that we are run on a debt-based system, and
Yep.
So that lending of money and that printing of money means that inflation is going to go on forever.
Correct.
They pretend to keep it around 3%, but we all know that that's not the case. This is one of the reasons many people get into Bitcoin. Bitcoin has obviously gone up over the last 15 years, whereas the dollar has not. For example, if you put $1 million in a bank and you think that you can retire in 10 years, that $1 million will most likely buy you, let's say, 700,000 or less of goods in
That's
10
right.
years' time, probably less. Whereas Bitcoin, over the history so far, has gone up 100%. So your Bitcoin is likely to buy you 10 times more in 10 years. That's what people like about Bitcoin. But it takes a long time to understand that and also to trust it, What do you know about Bitcoin, and what are your concerns with it?
Well, I don't really know very much about it. I have had... when I took this stock market training course, it was in London, England. They did talk about Bitcoin there because they also invest in that. Did they teach us anything about it? Not really. They just talked about it. And I thought, that's kind of intriguing. However, it's still, even like the stock market, like when I got into this, I thought, oh my God, I'm so scared of this. Like, it was something I would never have gotten near before. I just had people recommending things to me and I could see they were making money. And I thought, okay, well, if you're doing it, I can do it. And then, when you talk about Bitcoin, to me, Bitcoin's more about something I can't see. I can't put that in my hand and go, oh, that's nice. Look at that thing. And we're all kind of material based anyway when it comes to spending your money. And I'm not saying that in a good way or a bad way. It's just what we're used to. Like I was with a friend the other day who bought some gold bars. I thought, wow, this is fascinating. I've not done that either. And within days, they'd gone up a lot of money. Am I opposed to Bitcoin? No. Am I afraid of it? Sure. Do I understand it? Not at all. Like, not at all. A few of us stayed together from that course in London. 3 of those people are buying Bitcoin. One of them's done fairly well with it. So I know it's happening. I'm apprehensive. And I was very apprehensive about the stock market too. So.
Well, one of the best pieces of advice that I heard was invest in what you know. And that goes for Bitcoin as well. You know, I've told the story, but the first time I invested in it, I invested at the top of the market. It then crashed. And because I didn't understand it, I sold kind of at the bottom. I got into it again during COVID because I had time and I started learning. And now that I understand the cycles, it's much easier. We happen to be in a bull market at the moment.
Yes.
If the cycle follows the past cycle, most likely there's going to be a correction sometime in 2025 or before, and that's okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
It
But
happens all
because
the
I
time.
understand it better, I'm okay to hold it. And this for me is a long-term play because it's a hedge against the system, inflation, and it's not that I believe that we're never going to have the US dollar or the Canadian dollar. No, but there is an alternative, and it stands for something a little bit more positive for me, because there'll only ever be 21 million, and that for me says no more printing. So that's why I learned about it. And I really appreciate you being honest, because I think that helps a lot of people. A lot of people are there, and I think I'd say the best suggestion I can make is learn about it before you invest. And yeah, or don't, but I appreciate what you said. So besides Bitcoin, I know you're involved in a co-op, and you mentioned healthy food, which
Yep.
Without our health, what do we have, right?
Nothing.
So tell me a little bit about that.
Well, it's all local farmers bringing their goods to our store, like the co-op store, to sell to the public. And we grow our own greens, all of which are organic. They're grown hydroponically, but they're amazing, actually, beautiful. We've got 2 of those grocery units now, which produce a lot of food. And in our community, we can't grow greens in the wintertime. So for us, with these units, we can grow all year long. We have a lot of people come to our store because of the food being so healthy, and a lot of people are changing to that focus now, especially people with young families. So there's a lot of food out there in the grocery store that we should never ever be consuming, like never. And a lot of young parents are waking up to that now, which is awesome. And, we also have a cafe there, so we produce some great lunches for people. They love to come in and eat, and we have a bakery. We're also about to start baking sourdough bread, which again is very healthy for you. All flour that we use is organic. It's a very clean food environment, and it does make a huge difference. And if you travel to Europe, you can know that, because you can go to Europe and eat things that you could never eat in North America. If you're gluten intolerant or dairy intolerant, you can eat those things in those countries. So there's obviously something very wrong with our food system. And I think, not that I should be judging or saying, but I think it's all on purpose. I think that's all part of it.
Well, it's a money-making industry, right? And adding some of those products into the food helps them stay fresh for longer. That makes them look better. It makes them be produced better.
Gets you
And
addicted to them because there's lots of
it gets
sugar.
you addicted to them. We know that they put addictive products in things like Oreos and chips. And also the other bad part about that is the animals are fed antibiotics and hormones, and it's not good for our animals. So
No, and they grow up a foot away from each other.
Yes.
With nowhere to go,
yes.
nowhere to move. Like,
Yeah.
that's not right
And
either.
we are the leading species on this planet, and we need to treat everything else with respect.
Yes.
So that's a whole nother discussion we could have.
Whole different discussion.
Yeah, but it's important.
That's what we do at the co-op. That's our focus.
Yeah. Wonderful. Well, that's wonderful. Thank you so much, Wanda, for joining us today and for your healthy perspective. Very important part. There's 4 areas, and health is 1, getting the financial status right is number 2, spirituality, and then family relationships. And all of that is part of, for me, having a financially wealthy, healthy life.
Yeah.
So,
Well, they're all the key, most important things, really. Health, for sure, is if you don't have your health, you don't have any of those other things. And I think it's our responsibility to take care of that. It's not the doctor's responsibility. It's not anybody else's. It's ours. We need to educate ourselves in that department and look after ourselves.
absolutely.